Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the wonderful people here in Nevis, those in St. Kitts, those who are listening all across the Caribbean, those in the US, Canada, UK, wherever you are, good evening to you. My name is Mark Brantley, and I'm here for yet another edition of On the Mark. Each week on a Wednesday, we come here between the hours of 8 and 10 for 2 hours of commercial-free talk radio. The idea really is to create a platform where our people can have meaningful dialogue, one with each other. We can exchange views and opinions. We can have that debate of ideas that hopefully when we do that, they say iron sharpens iron, we come off with a better understanding of what is going on, not only here on our island, but in our federation, in our region, and in our world. I'm the Premier of Nevis, the leader of the Concerned Citizens Movement, and so sometimes the show does get a bit political, but that is all part and parcel of what we do. I, however, invite all shades of public opinion. I invite people to call, and I think people do feel comfortable calling the show because they understand that we do accept, in fact, we encourage differences in opinion. We just ask that we be respectful of each other and that we do not disintegrate and degenerate, that's the better word, into some of the not so appealing aspects of some elements of our culture where people start to abuse each other and to create, in my view, more division and strife than is necessary. We discuss politics as we discuss every other topic, and as I say, we invite your opinion on any of a variety of matters. As usual, the format of the show is that I spend a little time at the start speaking to one or two issues, and then I hand things over to the master of controls here and the telephones, and we take your calls. Let me start by wishing the Wesleyan Holiness Church in Brown Hill a happy 70th anniversary. Yes, for 70 they have been serving the community of Brown Hill and the wider community of Nevis and, of course, the wider Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to congratulate Pastor Ron Daniel, who's the man who's there at this time leading his flock, and I was very privileged to spend a little time with them tonight before coming here. It also tonight I had happening simultaneously with that the Leeward Islands debating competition. The Premier's cocktail was tonight. Imagine that there was a Premier's cocktail that I could not attend because of the conflict. I wanted, of course, to attend the Wesleyan Holiness Church celebration. And so I had the Honorable Eric Evelyn represent me at the Leeward Islands Premier's cocktail to welcome the participants, their teachers, and their support from the various islands. And so, yes, Nevis is hosting the Leeward Islands Debating Championship. This week will be the weekend that it happens. It's all happening at the Nevis Performing Arts Center, and I have the schedule here. It starts tomorrow, Thursday the 12th at 6 p.m. We have Montserrat coming up against St. Kitts. Then on Friday the 13th at 7 p.m. we have St. Martin against Anguilla. Saturday the 14th at 6 p.m. we have the winner of debate number 1 against Antigua and the winner of debate number 2 against Nevis. And then Sunday the 15th at 5 p.m. we have the winner of debate 3 versus the winner of debate 4. That is the finals. And so let me run through that again. On Thursday tomorrow at 6 p.m. Montserrat comes up against St. Kitts. On Friday at 7 p.m. St. Martin comes up against Anguilla. On Saturday at 6 p.m., the winner of that first debate, that is, either Montserrat or St. Kitts, will come up against Antigua. And the winner of the second debate, that is, either St. Martin or Anguilla, will come up against Nevis. And then on Sunday at 5 p.m., we have the winner of debate 3 versus the winner of debate 4. And so that is the format. Those are the dates. And we, of course, beg and beseech you, please, go out and support our young people. These are our leaders. They like to say that the young people are the leaders of the future. I say they are leaders even now, in the present. And so go out and support them. Debating is an excellent form of expression. It allows free exchange of ideas and allows our youngsters the ability to develop their potential for speaking publicly. And that, I think, is very important. We have had some incredible debaters from Nevis over the years. I can think of people like Sherry Truss, who went on to become, of course, one of our ambassadors. I can think of Mackie France. Mackie was a tremendous debater in his day. In fact, he and Sherry were unstoppable as a duo, as a team. I can think of Raul J. Williams, young Kegel from Cotton Ground, I think he's from. My own daughter, Gabriella Brantley. A number of young debaters have come through and have done a phenomenal job. And each of the islands, I'm sure, can boast of excellent debaters that they've had. So please go out and support the debaters. Again, Thursday the 12th, that's tomorrow, 6 p.m., Montserrat against St. Kitts. Friday the 13th at 7 p.m., St. Martin against Anguilla. Saturday the 14th at 6 p.m., we have either Montserrat or St. Kitts coming up against Antigua. And then that same night, Saturday, we have two debates. We have either St. Martin or Anguilla, which will come up against host Nevis. And then the finals will be at 5 p.m. on Sunday. We have the winner of debate 3 versus the winner of debate 4. So it looks like it's going to be an interesting time. NEPAC holds about 400 people. So please get there early and realize the time differences, please. Thursday, we start at 6 p.m. Friday, it starts at 7 p.m. Saturday, we're back to 6 p.m. And then on Sunday, it is 5 p.m. Why is that important? Because you don't want to come in late. You don't want to disturb the proceedings. It is a lot of pressure on these young people, and you certainly want to lend them as much support as possible. So that is the Leeward Islands debating competition well and truly on. And certainly I want to congratulate all who have been involved, the Honorable Troy Libert and his entire team, our hard-working permanent secretary, Mrs. Anella Claxton, and all of the staff of the Ministry of Education, and all of the support staff, the teachers, those who work with our debaters to get them ready, and, of course, the debaters themselves. I look forward very much to being there and to hear some of the debates. The topics look quite interesting, and I anticipate that we will have a good showing here on the island of Nevis. As I speak to that, let me also say how proud I am, because my daughter Gabriella Brantley is the founder of the Nevis Youth Careers Expo, NICE, and they would have had their 5th anniversary. What they do is they put on each year a grand event there at the Cultural Village, and that event is designed to bring employers and prospective employees together. It's a job fair, and this year they had a great turnout. I was there briefly, and I was very impressed with what I saw. I want to congratulate her. Her co-board member is the Honorable Janelle Nisbet, and the both of them came here, in fact, on the show to promote this event. And I'm really happy when I see young people doing things for young people inspiring other young people. I was very, very impressed with that. I want to say kudos to them and to their entire team, because they have a whole big team with them, and of course to all of their sponsors and participants. I am hopeful that more young people, in fact more people generally, will engage in uplifting activities such as those in order to ensure that this island keeps moving and keeps moving forward. I think that that's critically important, and I encourage our people to continue to do their very best. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a lot of debate and discussion. Of course, the whole idea of the Destiny Project has taken up a lot of time and attention, sucked up a lot of the air in the room. The Destiny Project is a major development that is proposed for the south coast of the island of Nevis, an area that is currently uninhabited with no infrastructure, no roads, no water, no electricity. And the idea really is to get that part of the island developed. There are many who have complained that Nevis has not had a major development since Four Seasons, and Four Seasons was 35 years ago. This development has come, and there has been, in some quarters, some opposition and some comments that are made. And I think that that is fair. I recognize that people are usually concerned about change. I am not trying to downplay anybody's fears or anybody's concerns. What has concerned me, however, is the level of, I could only call it ignorance. And I say that with as much respect as I could say such a thing. Because it seems to me that there's some people who, despite the very clear statements to the contrary, from those who should know, that is, whether it's the developers or the government, they continue to parrot nonsense that is being uttered in some quarters. And they continue to say it regardless. So we say, for example, the government has not sold any lands to these developers because the large tract of land that the government owned in that area outright, we had title for it, I believe it was 240 plus acres, that land was swapped under the NRP government to the National Bank, and therefore those lands are gone. They were not in our hands. Yet I hear people continue to say how the government is selling out the lands in the area to these developers. And I'm not sure how many more times we need to say that that is not true. That the lands that are being sold by private individuals. In fact, individuals like the leader of the NRP, who has signed her deal for her family lands in the area. And so I hear people saying all manner of things, but it seems to me that there is an effort to mislead people. And I don't think that there's any need for that. Let us discuss that development like any other development. Geothermal, airport development, roads, water, you name it. Let's discuss development in a sensible, rational way. And let's debate ideas. There will be pros and cons for any development that is proposed. And it will be impossible for all of us to agree as to the best way forward. But that is why people elect a government. That is why there's a premier. That is why there's a cabinet. The people, every 5 years, have the opportunity to say, I have confidence in this person, in this team, to lead us, to take decisions for us in the best interest of all of us. We understand that not everyone will agree. We live in a democracy after all. But what I keep encouraging our people to do is to raise the standards. Discuss things based on fact, not fiction. Take the emotion out of it. I have been involved in so many conversations on this Destiny project, and so many people are so angry, and I'm wondering, what are you so angry about? If you own land and you have no desire to sell your land to these people, then don't. Punto final, full stop. Why are you angry? Some people say they're vexed because somebody called them and asked them if they're willing to sell their land. Why are you vexed about that? The answer is either yes or no. And if they call and they say they want to pay you $5 and you want 10, then you tell them you want 10. Why are you so angry? I am not understanding that at all. And there's some who are going around posturing. I hear some of them and I just say, you know, Father, give me strength. Give me patience. Because some of them are outright lying. I heard one person saying they're not going to sell their land, when in fact, all they've been doing is trying to get more money for their land. Nothing is wrong with that, but why lie and say you're not going to sell when in fact you have been asking for more money? These are simple things, and I'm not understanding why the emotion. I was in one particular meeting, and somebody got up and very passionately started her discourse and her contribution by saying, I am ignorant of this project. I know nothing about this project, but I'm angry. And I said to her, well, how could you be angry about something of which you're ignorant? Just think about it. How could you be angry over something that by your own admission you have no knowledge of? That is the wildest, weirdest thing. And coming from people who are educated and sensible people, I can only conclude that sometimes we engage our mouth before we engage our brains. And I like to engage my brain first. And so I encourage our people. Now, I happened to tune into a program. I think it was here on One Radio last night. And they were discussing on Let's Talk, that mainstay of talk radio here in the Federation and in the region, the whole issue of people being able to vote. And I smiled to myself because I said, perhaps we assume too much. Perhaps we assume that our people know what the rules are and what the law is, when we perhaps ought instead to come and explain it to people. So I have been very clear as the Premier of Nevis. that anyone who comes in and wants to live in a special zone will not have the right to vote. Notwithstanding that, on nearly every radio show, you hear these people calling in and say, Mark Brantley looking to pack up this area with constituents to make sure that he could get elected. And I wonder if they don't know that Mark Brantley has been elected now for nigh 20 years. I have never had to pack up a thing. I go out and I talk to people and I encourage people to exercise their franchise. And I say to them that I feel I can do a good job. My hands and my heart are clean. I don't always get it right, but I am trying. And I will continue to do my best for the people of Nevis. That has always been my message. And the people have responded to that message. Why then do I need to get 10,000 residents in my constituency in order to win an election? That is arrant nonsense. And so that is one of the points. Just like the government selling out the land. We have said repeatedly the government has not sold any lands in the area. And yet, people continue. I have said repeatedly that people who come in to live in a special zone will not have the right to vote. That was made very clear very early on in the conversation. In fact, we have had conversations with the Honorable Attorney General to say that if there's going to be a residential community, then for obvious reasons, these folks should not have the right to vote. And that has been repeated ad nauseum in the public. And yet, people are getting agitated and having their blood pressure rise because they insist, despite the assurances, that these people will have the right to vote. And we have said no, they will not. That has been spelled out quite clearly. And the proposed route is to amend the National Assembly Elections Act to exclude persons living in a special zone on the basis that that decision that they have to live in that special zone, and I emphasize the word special, will not qualify them in terms of residency for purposes of voting. Now, some have responded and said, oh, Mark Brantley is chatting nonsense because he's trying to say that we have different types of citizens, or we have citizens with different rights. That's not what I'm saying at all. Under our law, and let me try to explain it as simply as I can, having citizenship gives one a right to vote if, capital IF, if one is qualified to be registered to vote. And that qualification to be registered is as is spelt out in statute. So while the Constitution tells us who is able to vote, we have to then go to the legislation that has been passed in the Parliament, which spells out who can register, where they can register, and certainly it is your registration that permits you to vote, not your citizenship. Let me say that again. It is your registration that permits you to vote, not your citizenship. And let me explain it further. Let us assume that I live in Nigeria. And let us assume that whilst in Nigeria, I meet a woman from St. Kitts Nevis, a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, and we get married. Under our law, I can become a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis by virtue of my marriage to that woman because she's a citizen. And so, let us say after a year or 2 years of marriage, she were to make the necessary application on my behalf, and I become a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis by virtue of marriage. I have never lived in St. Kitts Nevis. I perhaps have never visited St. Kitts and Nevis. But I met the love of my life in Nigeria, where we both live. I do all that I need to do, and I receive my passport. Mark Brantley is now a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. Does that give me the right to vote? If an election is called, can I just come down and say I'm going to vote in Church Ground? Or I'm going to vote in Hanley's Road? The answer is no. I am a citizen because I've obtained my citizenship. But I have no right to vote in an election here unless I am registered to vote. And I can only be registered pursuant to the rules that are set by law. And I think that people are missing that completely. People are saying, oh, you're a citizen, 10,000 citizens, that means they can vote. That is not the way it works. Do you know, for example, that we currently have citizens born here, St. Kitts Nevis passport, navel string berry here, but they cannot vote? And you know why? Because some of them are currently at His Majesty's prison serving time. And whilst they are in prison serving time, regardless of their citizenship, they are barred from voting in an election here. Can the argument be made that those citizens who are in prison are being denied the right to vote like other citizens have that right? Perhaps. But that is the state of the law. And so the law admits that there could be exceptions made in certain cases and for certain reasons. And any departure is always sustainable on what they call what is reasonable in a democratic society. And so sometimes, even though you have the right to freedom of movement, freedom of assembly, weren't we locked down during COVID? We were. Why? Because we had an emergency situation and the provisions locking people down were deemed to be necessary and reasonable in the circumstances. I'm using these varied examples to show that simply having citizenship does not by itself guarantee any of us the right to vote. There are many on this island who have their citizenship and who have not registered to vote. And if they are not registered to vote, then they cannot, when they hear the bell ring, rush into the polling station to say, I come to vote for Mark Brantley, because they're not registered. And then if they were to seek to become registered, they have to go through a particular process based on the law. They have, for example, to show that they live in a particular constituency and that they're ordinarily resident in that constituency in order for them to be registered to vote. Now, we have some exceptions, of course, for people overseas. And that overseas voter has to show his or her connection, nevertheless, to a constituency. And if he or she has no connection, then he or she has to show that connection through his or her parent. That's, as I understand it, is the law. So going back to my example of me being Nigerian, living in Nigeria, married to a Kittitian or Nevisian woman, and getting my citizenship by way of marriage to them. I have my passport, but I can't vote. I would have to come in and establish residency in a constituency in order to then register in that constituency and then be able to vote. I make the simple point, therefore, that having citizenship by itself doesn't allow you to vote. There is a further process that you have to engage in. And that is why our position is that you will not be able to establish residency if you choose to reside in a zone which is a special zone subject to special privileges that you get. You can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And we've said that clearly. So why is that still a debate? I add this last point. Do we know that there are currently, under our law, non-citizens who are permitted to vote? Absolutely. We have here under our law, if you are a Commonwealth citizen and you have been resident in St. Kitts and Nevis in a particular constituency for 12 months, then you're able again to register in that constituency and then to vote. Put differently, you do not even have to be a citizen in order to vote. That is, you do not have to be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. You can be from Guyana, from Jamaica, from Dominica, from the UK, from Canada. You can be from Kenya or any of the Commonwealth countries. Once you have lived here for 12 months, you can register to vote. You're not a citizen. I say all that to say that we ought to be sometimes willing to put aside the little sound bites that we feel make us sound bright, the little sound bites that we feel support whatever argument we're trying to advance, and look to the facts. And the fact of the matter is that during our negotiations with these developers, we made it clear that there could be no right to vote attached to this development or to any special zone of this kind. We made that pellucid. So I'm hopeful that those out there who continue to peddle this nonsense, that Mark and CCM trying to get support and trying to get 10,000 voters to vote for them, please get that out of your head. Mark and CCM are accustomed to winning elections in Nevis without any form of rigging, gerrymandering, voter fraud, or any kind of electoral fraud. In fact, I will go on record tonight to say, because it is a fact, that the only political party that has ever been indicted and found guilty of voter fraud in this country is the Nevis Reformation Party. And Hensley Daniel, the deputy leader, once deputy leader of that party, has the distinction of being the only man in the history of the Federation found to be null and void and get kidnapped out of a seat that he did not win. That's what the history is. So, for people with that history to continually try to twist the facts and mislead people and try to tell people that these decent Hebrew boys and girls in the CCM who have done nothing but appeal to the people with clean hands and clean hearts to serve them, and the people have responded positively to our message of hope, you now come to say, oh, we're trying to rig thing with 10,000 voters. What nonsense. What absolute nonsense. And so, please, if we're going to debate, say you don't like the project, you don't like this or you don't like that, I find that is good. But let us get rid of a lot of the fluff. You remember 6 square miles of Nevis. Up to today I see somebody who I think went to university still talking about 6 square miles of Nevis. Where it come from? Why are we continuing to peddle nonsense? Fishermen can't fish in the water. You can't go to the beach. Nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. And we keep saying them regardless. We just keep going and going. And so sometimes I feel, well, is it even worth it as the Premier of Nevis to continue to speak to these matters? Because if you're going to come and say 1 + 1 is equal to 2, as the leader of Nevis, I have been the one with my cabinet in the middle of all these discussions and negotiations. And we come by way of report to the people that we serve and we say 1 + 1 is equal to 2. Some Tom, Dick, Mary or Susie out there now say no, 1 + 1 equal 3. Everybody knows it's 3. A fool, I'm a fool, I is 3. How are we to move forward? Because you see, saying 1 + 1 is equal to 3 allows them to preach whatever it is they're preaching. And so the facts be damned. We're not interested in any facts. We're not really interested in any accurate information. That is why when I listen to people say, oh, we don't have enough information. Again, I smile. Because what is the value of saying you do not have enough information if when information is given, accurate information is given, you don't want to hear it? Because it doesn't coincide with what it is you think and what it is you want to say. And so you explain to people, there will be no right to vote in this zone by people living in this zone. And you same people tomorrow are going to call into some show, I can assure you, and say, oh, they're going to get the right to vote, that's the plan. So sometimes I wonder, is it that our people don't hear well? Is it that those few that continue to make noise don't understand well? Or is it that they're just mischief makers and continue to repeat lies even when you have repeatedly said that that is simply not the truth? That is not the case. And it doesn't seem to matter because you explain it and you explain it and you explain it, and they still insist. You say Santa Claus isn't real. They still tell you, yes, the reindeer gonna fly and Santa will come down the chimney. And so sometimes I confess I despair because I speak to people who I assume to be reasonable people, and because they lead with emotion rather than common sense, you end up with just raw emotion. You end up with that type of commentary. I am ignorant of this project, but I am angry. Now, common sense will say, I am ignorant of this project, so I will sit down and listen and learn. And after I have listened, I will make up my mind. But emotion leads you to say, I'm ignorant of this project and I'm angry. So what are you angry about? The only thing you can be angry about is your ignorance. Because what else could you be angry about in those circumstances when by your own admission you don't know what the project is about? And I think in this Nevis here we've had too much of that. Too much of that. Too much of that noise. And too little, I think, of the level of debate that you really need to happen. Now, one of the things that Destiny said they would do is they would make 5% of their profits, they say, available directly to the people of Nevis. That is their decision. It has nothing to do with the government. And I realized that they recently released some statement or video of some kind saying that they appreciate that it may take some time for them to get to the point where they're generating the profits so that people can get the 5%. And so they're basically going to fast forward those payments. They're going to start those payments right away. And they said they'll start those by paying $100 per month to each individual who signs up. I see some people now, oh, I don't sell out your country for $100. $100, that's an insult and whatever. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, if the people say they'll give you 5% of their profits, but they understand that the profits may not materialize immediately, and so as a sign of good faith, they will immediately start to pay $100 per person, every man, woman, and child who signs up per month. And I reflect and I say, but if I am a single mother, for example, and I have 3 children, and I were to sign up, that's $400 or something close to 1,100 EC dollars per month that I would receive into my household. You see, a lot of people out there just talking. But my point is, if you don't want money, you don't want whatever the benefit is, then that's simple. Don't sign up for it. But everybody's circumstance is not the same. And if I choose to sign up to get a benefit, which I say they are essentially prepaying, and they'll continue to do that until such time as the profitability portion can kick in, because they want to show good faith. Well, what is so wrong with that? That is a commitment that they have made and that they're trying to keep. I would have thought that people would look at it and say, boy, these people say they're going to pay 5% of their profits. No profit yet, but they say, we're going to front load some of this so that people could get a little something now. And it's not about the 100 US. It's about the fact that they're demonstrating, this is my interpretation, that they are serious about what they come to do. I have said to them that one of the big problems that they face is that a lot of developers have come in the past and not delivered. We see a bunch of failed developments all across the island. We see some that start 20 years ago and can't finish. And these developments dot the landscape of St. Kitts and Nevis, so naturally people are skeptical. I've said that to them. And so part of what we have said to them as government is, listen, don't come here to waste our time, Don't come here to waste Nevis's time. If you all are serious, then demonstrate that you're serious. If you come and you want to say you're going to do something, then the people need to see that you do something. You need to build confidence, not with words, but with action. And so they, in their wisdom, have said, listen, rather than waiting 3, 4 years, 5 years before we could say we have a profit, let us start to pay money now. And you have some people start to cuss. I see one of my good friends. He lives abroad. I don't believe he has been to Nevis in the last 15 years. And he telling people, don't take no money from them, don't take no money from them. And I send him a message and I say, boy, if you're going to tell a man, don't take bread, are you going to give him biscuit? And he just sent back and said, lol. Because you have people again who have opinions without consequence. Them just attack. You have others who are going to sign up to collect that money into their household, 5, 6 of them in the household, 500-600 US a month. And then while they're collecting it quietly, they're going to come out publicly and tell other people that are trippiness. Because that is human nature. All I'm saying to the people in Nevis, I trust you. I trust you to make the best decision for you and your family. I am not going to tell you what to do. I am going to leave it to you. Because just as I want to make decisions that are best for me and my family, I expect that you are going to make decisions that are best for you and your family, and that every one of us will make decisions that are best for us and our families. I say that to say that between us, those in my position who are given the awesome responsibility to lead, and those in your position who bestow that responsibility on me, there has to be an element of trust, an element of confidence, where I say that it has to be up to you. A lot of people out there are going to tell you, do not accept that, do not take that, but they're not offering you an alternative. That's why the old people say, don't let nobody take you out of bread and can't give you a biscuit. Because a lot of men want to knock bread out your mouth. And when you're hungry, they start to laugh because they don't have biscuit to give you. There's much wisdom in what our people are accustomed to telling us. Those proverbs and those sayings that our elderly folks have, there's a lot of wisdom in them. And so my view is, if there's an opportunity that you wish to seize, seize it. The people have said they will offer $1 million every single year until the good Lord decides he can come for this world to Nevisians to study abroad. If you're a youngster out there and you want a scholarship to go and study, it is your decision to make and your family's decision to make whether you apply or you listen to people who tell you, no, take no scholarship from them. Because some who are telling you don't take the scholarship, they already have their education. And this is, you see, part of the difficulty that I have. There are some of us who are out there, imperfect as we are, trying our best to push this island forward. There's some of us who are out there trying to negotiate the best that we can so that our people can benefit. No development, as far as I'm aware, in the history of this country has ever offered $1 million every single year for scholarships for our young people. This government said we wanted that. Why? Because we believe that education must be the way forward for us. And we know that too many of our young people have the capacity, have the ability, but their parents don't have the money. And we say, let us create opportunity for them. So now that we've created that opportunity, you will allow somebody to tell you, no, apply on a scholarship. Well, if somebody is going to tell you, do not apply for that scholarship, I would imagine that the very next sentence they should tell you is, because I have another scholarship or I have another way for you to go to university. I don't have a problem with that. Because if you tell a man, do not take that scholarship from Tom, it can't be a full stop, you know. There has to be something following on from that. Something that says, because I have an alternative way for you. And that is my fundamental problem as we engage in these debates in our island. You got a whole heap of nigger with a whole lot of opinion. But when you ask them, well, what is your idea then to move Nevis forward? They start to cuss you. When one of them kicking up, and I asked him, I said, but my brother, I have 300 young people coming out of school every year in Nevis. University graduates who are coming back from the UK and Canada and the United States and the UVI and the University of the West Indies. When they come and they're looking for opportunity in this, the land of their birth, what should I say to them as the Premier of Nevis? He tell me that's my problem, not his problem. I say, well, okay. If it is my problem as the Premier, let me try and solve my problem. Let me try and go out there in the world, get investment, get opportunity created here, so that those people could have a chance. You know what I realized about a lot of the people who are out there cussing every night and calling every radio station and on Facebook? They don't live their life, you know. Most of them don't live their life. Check it out. The average age for a lot of them making noise is 60 plus. God bless them. They've had long life. How many young people you hear with that same level of animus and vexation and venom? Because the young people that I am talking to, you know what they're saying? Why we bring the thing, we want opportunity. I have a small business, I want my small business to grow. I have a backhoe, I want to buy another 5 or 6. I have an excavator, I want to bring in another 3 or 4. I have a truck, I want 5. I want to make money. I want to grow my business. I want to create opportunity for myself and my family. You got some people who done retired. Them are the ones making the most noise. They done make, and some of them ain't gonna make again because they're allergic to hard work. So their job now is just to make noise. Young people, who's looking out for them? Who's saying, let us create opportunity for them? I am here today, and I'm not ashamed to say it. The NRP called me welfare baby. That's okay, because I use welfare for good. I didn't waste the welfare. They call me welfare baby, you know why? Because I got a scholarship to study. I'm not ashamed to say that I come from very humble circumstances. I'm not ashamed to tell my story because my story has helped to define who I am. And when I got the opportunity to go away and study by virtue of a scholarship, I did not waste the opportunity. I did my best. And when I left Jamaica, the Norman Manley Law School, I was the #1 student graduating in 1994 with a certificate of merit. Only the 4th at the time in the history of the law school. I made Nevis proud. Because I went there to do my best, not to waste time. I then got a scholarship and I went to Oxford University at the time. One of the best universities in the world. I don't know if it still is. And I was proud when I was done with all that. I turned down job offers in the BVI. I turned down job offers in New York. I turned down job offers in London. And I came back to Nevis because this is where I want to be. And I came back and tried to make something of myself. I work hard. Sometimes when people are in their bed sleeping, 3 and 4 in the morning, I'm writing submissions. The life of the lawyer is a lonely life sometimes. They say the law is a jealous mistress. We work hard. And I said to myself that were it not for the welfare that NRP accused me of being a welfare baby, were it not for that welfare, were it not for the assistance provided by others, were it not for that hand up that others had given me, where would I be? Where would I be? And I therefore am passionate about making it possible for other people to have an opportunity in Nevis. Passionate about it. And when I go around this island, I'm not like some. Put on my jacket and tie and go to my air-conditioned office and that is all. No. Look for me, I'm in Bath Village at the shop sitting down. Look for me, I'm over by Cabo. Look for me, I'm up by Big Six. Look for me, I'm around in the alleys, in the byways and highways. And that's where you get the real pulse of this island. Not on Facebook, not on a WhatsApp group, or on a radio station with the same people calling in. I see some people writing on Facebook and the same 3 people gonna comment every time. They're talking to themselves, not a soul as they're talking to. When you go around and you feel the pulse of the people and you engage with people, not just in your office, you sit on the block and you engage with them, that's when you hear what people are telling you. And people are telling me, Premier, let's get going. Let's get going. Because people understand that we have to create opportunities here in Nevis. The days of waltzing into St. Martin and waltzing into St. Thomas and waltzing into Tortola, waltzing into New York, them days they're gone. Everybody's tightening up. And when they're tightening up, what they're sending the message to you, a simple message. Create opportunity for your people where they come from. Create opportunity for your people where they come from. Because you can't waltz into Toronto like how you used to. Waltz into Birmingham and Ipswich like you used to. Tall. Things are changing. The world out there is getting more hostile. And we can't just sit back as leaders. We can't just sit back as a country and not recognize that the writing is on the wall. I have said it before, during hurricane season, the forecasters start to talk to you about the depression, they say, that is coming off the coast of Africa. Long before it becomes a hurricane, they say it's a depression. And they're watching it and they're tracking it and they're tracking it. They give you all kind of track, where it could go. And you know what it's saying to us? Prepare ourselves. That's what it is saying to us. Prepare ourselves. And those who see the writing on the wall, those who see the depression coming off the coast of Africa and decide that they're not going to fix their roof or they're not going to fix their window, When the storm comes, what then? The warnings of the world, brothers and sisters, are there. Tonight, at the Wesleyan Holiness Church in Brown Hill, I was afforded the privilege of saying a few words. And I said to the congregation, packed congregation, that many of us look at wars and rumors of wars that are happening around the world at this time. Some see it as a fulfillment of prophecy that we are living in the final days. Many of us hope and pray that the final days will not come in just yet, because life is sweet and we all want to live. But I look at it, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, and I say that it would be foolish of the people of Nevis, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, the people of the Caribbean, to think that because we are geographically removed from these conflicts, that the impact will not reach our shores. This afternoon, when I went home, I had a look at the BBC. And the BBC was reporting that oil prices are at an all-time high. In fact, President Trump gave an address just today to try to calm fears about the rising cost of living. The Strait of Hormuz is now closed, and the Strait of Hormuz is where most of the crude oil, natural gas, and other aspects of the energy industry, it is through the Strait of Hormuz that they move because of war in Iran and man's infliction of violence on other men. We have now a situation where the oil-producing regions in that part of the world are in chaos. War has come to the Middle East. And with war in the Middle East, you and I, Zion, Rollins, Nisbet Settlement, Newcastle, Brownhill, Cox, Molyneux, Kean, Sandy Point, Tooth, Moon, Sam and Bagay going to be asked to pay more. Here's what's going to happen. I had a meeting 2 days ago with some folks who are getting involved in the provision of oil and gas and diesel to Nevis. And the gentleman said to me, there is one thing that he can assure me of at this point, and that is that prices of diesel will rise. Well, when price of diesel rise to Nevlek, what do we think is going to happen? It will cause a rise in the cost of electricity. And already we are paying high prices for electricity. The government has tried its best to cushion, but as a small government with limited resources, there is only so much we can do. We took the surcharge off of households. We capped it at 50% for businesses. Still people are crying out. But my simple point is, what are we to do? Because wars and rumors of wars will result in an escalation of prices. When electricity price goes up, Brand Bakery and Island Bakery and Amri Bakery and all of them, you know what they're going to say? It costs them more to produce that roll or that bread. And so they say the $5 bread will now have to be $6. When the bus that you take every morning to get to work goes to the gas station to fill up, and the cost of diesel has gone up, $2, $3 per gallon, they will turn to you and they say, we want to charge an extra 50 cents, an extra dollar, an extra $2 on the bus fare. When the shipping industry now say, our ships are being attacked, the insurance now says your premiums will go up. Then all of our food and goods and furniture and building materials that come out of Miami, we will pay more for shipping. When they land here at our port and the calculation is done of cost, insurance and freight, our people will have not a double, not a triple, but maybe a quadruple whammy in terms of cost of living, which is already high. So Rams and Value Mart and Best Buy are going to tell you it costs us more now to bring a container of vegetables from Miami, so you have to pay more for carrots. You have to pay more for potatoes in the supermarket. So a lot of us are sitting back here and seem to have persuaded ourselves that that war is in the Middle East, thousands and thousands of miles away from us, and not realizing that the economic impact of war is already upon us. And I am just trying to be realistic with our people, because I know that in our society there are people who are already on the margin. That single mother, that single father who is doing his or her best but is on the margin, where an extra few $100s a month in expenditure may tip them over into the ranks of poverty. These are the harsh realities. And so, as the premier of this island, passionate about my people, what am I to do? Simply sit back, tell us, hold hands and sing Kumbaya? Or do you want leadership that is prepared to go out there and find solutions, find ways for you to grow, find jobs so you could have a better opportunity, find a way for your small business to become a big business? The world is changing, and it is for us now to respond to that. And whether I'm in this chair tomorrow or not, because only God knows what the future holds, whoever is in the chair is going to have to confront the same problems. War in Iran is not going to stop because you have a change of government in St. Kitts and Nevis. Prices are not going to go down because you have a change of government. The CBI is not going to miraculously recover because you have a change of government. There are real challenges that we face, brothers and sisters, and I keep saying to our people that serious times demand serious attention from serious people. There are too many unserious people out there, too many jokers out there. We're just talking. Just today I saw something where one politician is saying that they're going to bring down the cost of everything. Sounds good. But then you ask the question, how? And then you hear silence. And that is why I'm hoping our people can get to. When you see these comments are made, somebody say, we don't want no destiny in Nevis. Okay. What do you propose as an alternative? We don't want the water taxi pier. Okay. What do you propose as an alternative? We don't want no bigger airport. Okay. What do you propose as an alternative? Because you see, unless you are making proposals and suggestions and recommendations to deal with the problems that we face, you are just making noise. And it's not that I'm being disrespectful or discourteous. It is the reality. Because we need solutions, and we need people who are prepared to go out there and find solutions to the problems that we face. Because when opportunities are discarded because we lack the courage to embrace them, then what do I tell the 300 youngsters? You realize if 300 a year in 5 years, that's 1,500 young people. What do we tell them? Sorry, Bo. What do we tell them? And until somebody out there could give me an answer for that, I will do what the people elected me to do, which is to lead and to take decisions in the best interests of the people of Nevis, recognizing that not everyone will agree, but I nevertheless have a duty to do the best that I can for the majority of our people. And in that, I am confident. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On the Mark. It is just 3 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. And I am going to open the lines and allow you now to take over the show. The numbers are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. The phones have lit up, so let's go. Good evening, you're On the Mark. Hello? Hello? Okay, now I'm hearing you. Good evening.
Galatians 6 verse 9 and 10.
Yes.
Let us not become weary in doing good. For all the proper time we will reap a harvest if we not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of the believers. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I am hopeful that others will call in and share their views and opinions as well. We have an hour or so where we're taking your calls. Thank you for that scripture. The numbers again are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. There's some people who are online and they have their opinions, of course, but please, you can also call in. Share your opinions live. Let's have a discussion and see where we go in relation to that. We're taking your calls. Do we have somebody holding? Yes, good evening.
Good night, Honorable Brantley.
Good evening to you, my dear.
I'm reading from Isaiah 55 and verse 12. For ye shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and...
I can't hear you. Can you put your mouth a little closer to the phone, please? Sorry.
Okay, for ye shall
now
go
we can
out
hear you, yes.
with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Here ended the reading of the scripture. Lovely program, and good night to you, and God bless you and family and the other members of your staff, okay?
Thank you so very much. I certainly appreciate you, and I appreciate your beautiful scripture.
Yes, okay, thanks.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking your calls. We have had 2 scriptures to start, so we're off to a very good start. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, caller. You're On the Mark.
Good evening, Honorable Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Good evening to you.
Yes, I listen to you all night tonight, and what you're saying is everything is true. Now, I have this thing to say, right? Majority of some of these talk shows, who they don't be speaking to is people who don't listen to the radio, and also they don't listen to Let's Go. Ask any of the people who forcing if they listen to Parliament. They'll tell you no.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them if they listen to your show or listen to what's going on. They tell you no. That's what you see. Some of these talk shows that be speaking to these people who don't listen to radio and don't know what's going on in the country. These are the people that get fooled off. And I hear you speaking about the war. And I tell some people that people might be laughing and giggling because it's fire up there. But what's going on up there, we're going to feel the bunch of it too.
Of course.
with the same thing you were saying. And it's not a, people have to think it's like a joke, but it's not a joke. Because if you realize reality hitting even into the state, that Brother Trump started all of this stupidness, and the people have seen it. But come back to your voting situation now. I see what you were speaking about. How can someone want to go and vote and then register?
That's the point.
Because in the BVI, they always advertise, go and register if you want to vote.
And
so,
when you register, there are rules as to who can register.
Right. So, you think, I live down here. Yes. How do I have to live in Nevis for a while before I go and vote?
Well, we have this notion of the what we call the overseas voter. So if, for example, you are a citizen and you moved overseas from here.
Yeah.
So you moved to Tortola from here. And let us say when you moved, you lived in Hanley's Road. Then you can come and register in Hanley's Road.
Right.
But you can't register in Brownhill, you can't register in Barneswood. If we expanded it to say that if you're not from here, that is, you weren't born here, but your mother is from Hanley's Road, then you could still register in Hanley's Road. Your father is from Barneswood, then you could register in Barneswood, one or the other. So the law was expanded. But using the example that I used of somebody who is not from here and get their citizenship, say, by virtue of marriage or by virtue of citizenship by investment, they would have to come here and establish a residence here in some part of the island in order for them to register to vote. And so the residency aspect is critical to that voter. And that's why we're saying that if people choose to come and live inside a special zone, then they can be excluded by saying that the residency inside such a special zone does not qualify them for residency for purposes of registering to vote. And if they can't register to vote, they cannot vote. Just as I said, the example of somebody who's in prison. They could be a citizen, but they cannot vote whilst they're in prison because the law puts a restriction on them. It doesn't mean that they are less of a citizen. It simply means that a restriction has been placed on them because of some reasonably justifiable consequence or explanation. And in the case of somebody who's locked up, obviously they're in prison. In the case of somebody who goes into a special zone, you have chosen to live in a special zone where special rules apply. And so that is the explanation. And I'm simply saying that I've said it 100 times. And every time you say it, it's like you go in one year and come out the next, and people come the next day and they start to tell you the same things over and over. So it gets to a point sometimes where you may be right, people are not listening, maybe they're listening to who they want to listen to, and they're regurgitating those talking points over and over. Because other than that, I really can't see why it is that people refuse to accept that these are the facts, and they could only get the facts from people who are actually involved in the discussions.
Okay, this is the next question again,
Yes.
which I see happening here in the BVI. Okay, say like somebody move out from Jessup and gone Hansley Road.
Yes.
Which they were voting in Jessup. How do they go about changing? How long they take to change the status from moving from Jessup to voting in Hansley Road? Do you all have any law about that?
Yes, so you just go in and go into the Electoral office and tell them you change your residence. So you move from one constituency to the next. That's easy. You just do a transfer.
And it is a must.
Well,
Do the transfer?
yes, because again, it is linked to your residency. So you are always subject to an objection to say that you have moved from one area to the next. And so to keep the system pristine, you should go ahead and do that transfer because you're no longer in Jessup, you're now in Gingerland, you're now in Handles Road. But it's not a big issue. You just go in and you just sign the transfer form. And the next list that comes out should show you that you're now living in Handles Road. And so you will change your voting place to Handles Road.
Because to have some people who will live where in this 6th district, move from here and gone into the 7th, and they still registered in the 6th. How that will work? Do they?
Well, each country has different electoral laws. I can't speak to what applies in the BVI. But as I said here, what somebody should do is transfer their registration to where they're now living. Otherwise, somebody could object to them and say, hey, you're no longer living in Jessup, so you should not be on the voters list in Jessup. Of course, you have people who are on the voters list and they live someplace else, but they've been on the voters list. Say they used to live in Jessup, as you explained, they moved Gingerland, but they kept their name. But I'm simply saying that that name could be objected to because the person is no longer living in that constituency.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I understand, but I can't see where people can understand what you're saying. My next thing, I would like to see the project go on, and I would like you to have somebody with a camera taking some of them who argue about the project with a lunch bag, going at the job. I take them picture and say, see there, he was making a set of noise, but he on the roof cutting girl with noise, and he was the one. You know what I mean? Because people don't understand. People, you have to create work for people.
Of course.
Now, I could say this here. A long time, Nevis John and Kitison used to come in the BVL Antigua.
Yes.
And them is not traveling here anymore, like us, because it have work up there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you're trying to do, create work, that people stay home.
And create opportunities for businesses to grow as well. You know,
right.
These people, for example, talking about building a super yacht marina. You know how much business can flow from that? And
I don't really let me tell you something.
Yes.
The yachting business down here, a lot of young people work for yacht company here.
Of course. Well, I have gone to the BVI. It's one of the things that I really envy about the BVI. You all have such a well-developed yachting sector. You know, I mean, I was over on Peter Island, and man, the number of yachts that are docked at Peter Island, I couldn't believe it. So you look at that and you see that a whole new industry can be developed, new opportunities for our people. Working on board these yachts, providing services, accounting services, legal services, chef, provisioning. Man, even the fellas them who dive down and clean the bottom of these boats is big business. Right?
Yes,
so you have a lot of opportunity.
And also you have a base where clean yacht, pull up yacht on the land.
Of course.
All of these things happen down here. And you could do it up in Nevis the same way. You understand? So, as again, you do your best that way you come out, you could say that you do something. I have to say good night to my friend Scabo. When I visit up there, I know somewhere his bar.
Yes.
He's a strong and happy, but not my friend still. Good night to you, Scabo.
All right, brother.
But my friend, you keep up the work. You don't bother with them there. I get tackled when they call in on your show, when they finish, you know. You'll be on the radio with Mark, making you feel good. Not my listener. But, yeah, man, a nice listening you give somebody's week, you know what I mean?
All right, brother. Thanks for the call as always. Take good care.
All right.
We're sticking with the phones. It is now 16 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock, and we say good evening. You're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
About 4 months now, almost 4 months now, I'll make a report to Nevis concerning like in the front of my gate.
Uh-huh.
And then when I come from work at Monday at night time, the bus who dropped me home have to shine the light in my yard for me to see where to go. So I'm asking you to please ask Nevis to come and restore the light for me, please.
Okay. Could you do me a favor? I'll give you my number. Okay. What you can do is send me a WhatsApp with the poll number. The poll has a tag on it. So if you look on the poll, you should see a number on the poll. Hello?
Yeah, I know your number and know the poll number.
Okay. So WhatsApp me the poll number and I will send it to them in the morning. I know that they didn't have any lights for some point, but they tell me now they have some. So I'll reach out to them in the morning for you. So since you have my number already, I don't need to give it to you. Send it to me, okay?
Okay, I'll do that, sir.
Okay, thank you. All the best. Okay, you do the same. Let's stick with the phones and continue to take some calls. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good night, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes. The document I just sent to the Prime Minister, he signed it off already?
No, we don't have any indication from the federal government as yet that they've signed off on it, no.
Okay, the benefits from the Destiny. Does people from Nevis qualify for that?
Well, it depends on what, like the 5% that they're talking about.
Yeah.
They did say the people of Nevis. The scholarship, the US $1 million scholarship, they did say the people of Nevis, because the project is on Nevis. But then in terms of jobs, in terms of any aspect of it that might be citizenship by investment, I know that is still being discussed. That would, of course, be for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Citizenship by investment would be for the Citizenship by Investment unit in St. Kitts. So there are various benefits that are available, dependent, I suppose, on where you are.
Okay, that's understandable. Okay, good night.
All right, thank you very much for that. We're taking your calls, ladies and gentlemen, at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Just to remind the general public that the Leeward Islands debating competition is here in Nevis this weekend. It starts tomorrow, Thursday, and it goes until Sunday. So one and all are invited to come out. It will be at NEPAC, and you are asked to come out. Nevis will be debating for the first time on Saturday night, but Montserrat and St. Kitts go at it on Thursday, and then on Friday I think it is Anguilla and St. Martin. Nevis and Antigua will debate for the first time on Saturday, and then on Sunday there is the finals. I should also use this opportunity because I just got a note here from my very, very dear friend and brother, Mackie France, who said that his grandmother, Frances Jeffers, will be 102 years on Sunday. Praise be to God, 102 years old on Sunday. And so we wish her happy birthday, and we pray and hope that she continues from strength to strength. 102 years. The Psalms says that our tally is 70, if by virtue of strength we get a bit more, we soon cut down, because you know after 70 you start to go now into borrowed time, and this lady is 102. Praise be to God. So we say happy birthday to her. Happy birthday, Mrs. Jeffers. On a sad note, on Friday we will let to rest my dear friend Lorna Hunkins, whose death has really shocked us all and saddened us all. Her family has decided that Friday will be the appointed day for her homegoing service. It will be at the Anglican Church in Charlestown, which is her church, and I believe it starts at 1 p.m. And so I'm really inviting the whole of Nevis and St. Kitts to come out and pay their respects. I pray that God will continue to comfort her daughter Nisi, her mother Telma, and the entire family and friends. I know that it's difficult. If it's hard for me, I could only imagine how hard it would be for the family. But Lorna was my friend, and she was my good friend, and I have missed her, and I will continue to miss her. And as I say, we lay her to rest on Friday. So all of you out there, please come out and help us to show our respects to a very strong and formidable woman, a Nevision through and through, who made her contribution quietly, but made a giant contribution to this, our island and our federation. So, Friday afternoon, 1 p.m. at the church, the Anglican church in town. Let's go back to the phones and take your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
A happy birthday to Miss France, a happy birthday to her. May the good Lord bless you. Mackie, is your good friend Rodney. I want to wish your grandmother a happy birthday. I wish I could listen to that. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Rodney. And I must tell you, singing sound a lot better. Over the years, you sing on the show a lot of times, but it's sounding sweeter as you get a little older. I saw you recently, and you're looking well. You're looking well. I won't say what our conversation was, but God bless you. And thank you for calling in and singing happy birthday to Mrs. Jeffers. 102 years is remarkable. Remarkable indeed. So thank you very much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue to take your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of the show. And let's go straight back to the phones and say, good evening, caller. You are on the mark.
Total love and greeting, Brother Premier.
Yes, good evening, brother.
How your day is going?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Blessed to your listeners, and just like to echo our sentiment on the respect to the elder and her light for coming forward 102. Blessed the guidance of the Almighty, keep her safe, give her more hour of love and peace that she can be in the heights of the generation to come. We just like to stay within your program. I heard you make reference on the destiny development. I'd just like to ask, you make some inquiry about the scholarship and those things here, but will the scholarship apply within where the Nevis people will able to bring back their learning aspect wherever you go within? In particular, I think we should start seeing that they look at these scholarship as ways that they can look within studying the insistence of the history of Nevis too. One of the factors that we are missing in our essence as a people, storing these kind of format of the knowledge that Nevis in itself have more than in this capacity that it weighs, and we can show that within the possibility if we study the knowledge of where you keep coming from.
Yes.
Now, I would like to stay by saying that because there is something that occurred in 1706 that should be of essence of value to assure the Nevis people where our ancestors were brilliantly to safeguard Nevis from the exert of the French being invading on the Nevis territory after the war that there was lost within trying to capture St. Kitts within the British and the French. And we see this occurred, and enough of these things are irrelevant as a part of the history, as our ancestors were brilliant in fighting to safeguard them and the family from being captured. So, just like to say, the history of our people cannot be bought by economics, but it must be bought by knowledge that will restore the sovereignty of Nevis to its rightful people. You have a blessed night.
All right, well, thank you very much for that, caller. I certainly appreciate your call. And, we continue to appreciate the various calls as they come in because people have different perspectives, and that is important, that we allow all ideas to contend. We allow all voices to be heard. And as I said, once we express ourselves in a respectful manner to each other, then I don't see a difficulty. And that's the standard that we try to uphold. Certainly it's a standard that Von Radio has set, where their motto is only the best will do. And it's a standard that we have also taken as our own here on the mark. So I appreciate your call. I appreciate your view. And as I said, whilst there are times when we will not always agree, there's no need for us to be disagreeable. You're correct that our people need to continue to learn our history and to teach our history and to know our history. But it is also important that whilst we equip ourselves with the knowledge of our history, that we do not allow our history to keep us rooted so that we can't move. We must be able to recognize that the world is changing and that we ourselves must adapt in order to survive. That's also going to be an important element. And so I too am hopeful that people will take up the opportunity of this $1 million a year for scholarships to study. I want our people to go to Harvard and Yale and to go to Oxford and Cambridge and to go to the University of West Indies and the UVI and Monroe and all the other universities. I want our people to take up the opportunities. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good night, Premier Brantley.
Yes, good evening to you.
Yes. I listened to your very impassioned defense of the Destiny Project and their marketing strategy to woo folks to the project. You know, some people feel that it borders on bribery, but that notwithstanding, I want to suggest to you that a glaring omission tonight was that you are asking the Divisions essentially to settle for a pig in a bag because they do not know the details of the project. It may be that what the NIA has signed off on or since negotiated might be acceptable to Divisions, in which case let the project sell itself, give people the details. But from what we have, what we know so far, the project seems to have the potential for making Divisions not only a minority in their land, but also second-class citizens. For we all know that money talks, and as a rule of thumb, the very wealthy has a way of getting their way, because wealth usually comes with power. I am one of those people you talk about, those talking heads, who are the older talking heads that you refer to. And one of the things I've learned in my lifetime is that you can find something to justify just about anything, right? And as an extension of that, there's this very cynical philosophy that the ends justify the means. You know, I've heard of young people who prostitute themselves through college. Going to university is a very worthwhile goal, but I'm sure you would not recommend those means. And we know the history of, for instance, house slaves, that, you know, the field slaves so despised, okay? But the house slaves felt they were doing the best thing for themselves, okay? And you may say they have that right? But at which point does principle kick in, right? And lastly, you know, the impression given when you ask, what are we to do, okay, is there are no alternatives, and that's not true. St. Kitts and Nevis is one of the more, shall we say, well, not necessarily developed, but certainly we've been making more strides than most of the other countries in the Caribbean, right?
Can I ask you a question? I don't mean to interrupt unduly, but what would you attribute to those strides that you've described in the last, let's say, 15 years? Innovative
products like the CBI, for instance, the ability to attract really good investment like the Four Seasons or the Park Hyatt or the Marriott, those kinds of things, okay? It isn't that our people can't find ways of doing things, because we couldn't come to this point without doing something that the others weren't doing. We couldn't be in this preeminent position, right? And it's not that, you know, we don't want foreigners to come here and live among us. That is not so. I mean, look how many, some of them are from the Caribbean, yes, but apart from those, there are some wealthy, very wealthy North Americans and Europeans living among us. The key is living among us, not living separate from us. That is the problem. That is what.
Caller, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You know there's an area in St. Kitts called Christopher Harbour?
Absolutely.
They are living among you, or they're living separate and apart from you?
They're living among us. We can drive through Christopher Harbour with no.
So because you can drive through, it means that they're living among you? Or you're living among them?
I'm sure we go and share the beaches. We go and with obviously, if it's private property, you don't necessarily have access to it. You don't have access to it.
So,
but that's the same anywhere else.
But this is exactly, that's why I raised the example. Because you're currently calling and talking about living among people and people living among you. When on the very island that you occupy, there is an enclave called Christopher Harbour.
I would not call it an enclave.
Okay.
An enclave suggests that you can't, it's a gated community that you can't go.
Caller, you prefer community? That word is a better word for you?
No. What I'm telling you is that enclave...
Caller, I'm asking if the word community is more acceptable to you.
It would be more acceptable if we have access to that community.
Okay, but you have access to the community. Caller, hold on a second, caller. Don't bother take me to Frigate Bay yet. I am simply saying to you that you're calling in to say that you are welcoming people, but they must live among you and you must live among them. That was the point that you were making.
Yes.
I am pointing out to you that on the very island that you live, there is a community, since you don't like the word enclave, called Christopher Harbour, which the only thing you and I could do is drive through. We don't live among them and they don't live among us.
But we can, and they did not require, we didn't require special rules and special anything for that development to happen.
You did not? But let me ask you, caller, wait, don't go yet. On what basis do you say you do not require special rules?
Because the legislation like SSZ, that development did not come under any special legislation.
That is true, it did not come on any legislation, but you nor I have seen the agreement, so you don't know what rules they have applicable to them.
The agreement was published, I think.
It was published where?
I'm sure there are a copy of the people reading from
the Christopher Harbour agreement
of the Christopher Harbour agreement. That is why they were very critical of it.
Caller, I have not seen the Christopher Harbour agreement. In fact, I will tell you that I am aware of one of the investors over there, and that investor said that not even as an investor they were allowed to see the copy of that Christopher Harbour agreement. But that is beside the point. I am simply suggesting to you that this notion of you living with people and people living with you may sound good, but the truth is, when examined, there are many communities that already exist in our country that people live apart. The question really is not where people live. The question is, can we construct a society that is harmonious and where people interact with each other?
Right.
In Nevis right now, there's a Four Seasons compound, complex, enclave, community, whatever word you want to use to describe it. And in that community, they have probably now about 70 or so villas. They're building some more as we speak. You and I can't just drive in as we like.
Of course not.
Okay.
Right? But that is far different from having 10,000 families come and living in an enclave.
So the difference is the number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it's not the principle, because you've just agreed that you and I can't go into Four Seasons as we like.
As we like, of course.
I see. Okay. All right.
Right, and I'm also showing the example.
So if Destiny was 100 homes, and you can't go in there as you like, you wouldn't have a problem with it.
I wouldn't have a problem with it because
Okay.
that does not threaten. That does not threaten the others living in the society. Because you see, when you
Gotcha.
talk about harmoniously,
Yes.
right? Harmoniously does not is in conflict with separateness. That's the thing that bothers. That I think would bother people. I'm saying, for instance, there are rich people, very rich people in Frigate Bay, for instance, but there are also ordinary people in Frigate Bay, right? There are there are several hotels, establishments, and so on. People have gone there and established business. They're both local and foreign. There is that model that has developed the area. Similarly, I guess you can point to Christopher Harbour. Yes, very wealthy people live down there, even wealthier than, I guess, people who live in Frigate Bay, right? And you will always have that strata. But the separateness, this idea of separateness is anathema to most people, right?
Well,
because it changes the character of our island.
All right, caller, I hear you, but with all due respect, I think that you said that we could find reasons to justify almost anything. I equally think that the statement in reverse is true, that you could find reasons to criticize almost anything.
And I agree
Because-
with you, and I also agree with
Yes.
you when you say, in the final analysis, divisions will make the decisions,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? But they should do so from an informed point of view,
Okay.
right? Give people the details
Alright.
of what they're about, what is about to unfold.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And I think that you ended a fair point that people need information. But I think that if we are to be accurate, we have said that the information will in fact be provided. And whatever criticisms that there are, one of the things that I think can be said, which is of tremendous value, is that this is the first development in the history of our country where by law, the documentation has to be made public, because there has to be a debate in the parliament to bring this into force. So whatever is signed, whatever is negotiated, you and I will have sight of it. The man in Brownhill, the man in Keon, and the man everywhere else will have sight of it. And I keep emphasizing that point, caller, because we have had a number of developments in our country before. I mentioned Crystal Harbour. I can mention Four Seasons. I can mention Park Hyatt, Kittishon Hill, Ramada. None of us have seen those agreements. We don't know what they contain. And I think that sometimes in our zeal to criticize, we are not balanced in that criticism, because I think that is one of the excellent aspects to this SSZ legislation. Now, people keep saying they don't have enough information, they don't have this, and I accept that the actual agreements have not yet been put into the public domain. But they will be, because they have to be. And that is the commitment that has been made, and the commitment that will be kept. So I think at this point it's really a timing issue. We have sent over the necessary documentation after months of deliberation and town halls and stakeholder engagements. We went to the Attorney General on the 23rd of December 2025. That's the date that our legal advisor sent the documentation to the Honorable Attorney General. It was on the 28th, I think, that the Honorable Attorney General responded to that 23rd December. He responded on the 28th of January 2026 and asked, could we send the information through the Cabinet Secretary? So put differently, not through him, but through the Cabinet Secretary. We did that. And so that would have gone on the 28th or 29th of January. A second time, so to speak. And thereafter it has been in the hands of the federal government for them to look at it and to satisfy themselves and to do the necessary. But in the meantime, we are waiting. And once that is done, federal process is complete, then the documents go to the public. And that caller is light years away from anything that we've ever seen in the country before. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. Caller, good evening. You're on the mark. Caller, did we lose that caller? Caller, please call back. I'm so sorry. 869-469-1616 and 1700. I do apologize, but if you call back, you can get in right away. The lines are now free. But so let's go right back. I think the caller has called back. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark. Hello?
Premier Brantley, good night.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, thanks. How are you?
Not well. It's just a fear right off my headache.
You take something for it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And you know, well, you don't announce that. You got some of my debaters down by you.
Let me some of your debaters. You're in division by now, so who are some of your debaters?
Well, even in division by now, maybe it's a good debate, so you got me debaters same way.
All right, so I hear you.
Anyhow, it is a matter now.
I hear you tell you.
Right. Premier Brantley, let me say good night to all listeners. How to explain the citizens, the overseas citizens and the voting?
Yes.
To my friend, Virgin Islands. And so you explain to the pastor when he called in the other night, you know. You recognize that?
No, I don't recognize that.
The pastor asked you one question. So then people that buy the citizenship, how come now you turn around and want to call them this name if they not got the same right as you? And you answer to the he tell you that you don't have to answer, but you answer.
Caller.
And you say
yes. Go ahead.
Remember I tell you you don't have to answer, you know.
Yeah, but caller, I think that let us not get too distracted. Citizens, but let's listen to me. Citizens have the same rights, but those rights, in various ways, are exercised in accordance with the law. All right. So I use COVID as an example. We all have the right to freedom of movement and freedom of assembly. That means I could come by you and you could come by me, and we could go down the road and lime and play domino. During COVID, they introduced laws to restrict our movement because they said there was a national emergency. We have had situations when we have curfew and all kinds of things that are imposed on us. So it is not to say that we don't have the rights, but the rights are exercised in accordance with law. All I'm trying to say is that in relation to voting, citizens, yes, they have a right to vote, but in order to vote, they must comply with the voting laws, the National Assembly Elections Act, which sets out who can register, where you can register. You cannot simply say, I live in Montserrat and I get a passport because my grandmother born in Nevis. Me never come Nevis yet, but because I have a passport, I'm going to go down and vote in the next election. You have to come down and you have to register in a constituency, and you have to establish your right to be registered in that constituency.
Yeah. But you know the part that you explain. You know that is not the explanation that we talk about.
So what explanation are you talking about? Because that is what I said tonight.
No.
Yes.
The explanation that we talk about is that when the pastor call in and say that these people want to stop them from vote, you may agree. I want different explanation now tonight. No, you tell the guy in the Virgin Islands no that them if if them are do one different rule, then can't vote. You never tell pastor that the other night.
Caller, I can't recollect exactly what words I would have used to the pastor, but what I have said is the law. It is how the voting system works. You cannot just say because I'm a citizen, I can get up and go and vote. That is not the way the law works.
Premier Brantley, me want if you please, me go beg you please now, retract the conversation with you and the pastor.
Well, caller, all right. So you claim that that's what you heard. I am saying to you that I have sought to explain the law as to voting and how voting works. Okay? So
okay,
I don't know what else you need at this point.
No, because you get the pastor delay with the people up na the zone could have vote, not they for stop them.
But caller, when did I do that? When I have said from day one that we negotiate that the people cannot vote, I have said that. Then the very first public statement I made on this thing, I said that.
This I may tell you. Listen to the tape next week.
Okay, all right, okay.
Next week.
Caller, let's move on. We're running out of time.
Next week.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And next week, right.
All right.
That next week you will tell me if me right or wrong. We want
okay. You have another point to make? Because whether you're right or wrong, you're still wrong. So you have another point to make?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Listen to this other point now.
Yes.
Let me listen to Mr. Ellen Barrow today, and he said that the Prime Minister create one in all the name of the or the committee, but me forgot the name. He said that no, but because of the pressure now that the Prime Minister may get, he now create this committee. This committee nominated, to overlook the rules and so forth, right? So guess what now? And even the round table and the news. Guess what? The Prime Minister said the very next Parliament sitting to amend the ASA's law. You hear the part there?
I didn't hear it, but okay, if he said that, so what?
Right. So that will be first reading. Right? And then he said after that, he's going to send them back so that people can scrutinize them. And remember now, second reading, well, remember, second reading and third reading put on the same day anyway. So, we just said that for tell you, Premier Brantley, this destiny is signing, you not get that, you know.
But if they change the law, caller, what does that have to do with destiny?
If they change your law?
No, but I'm trying to understand your reasoning.
Amend, not change. Amend.
Well, what amend mean? Amend mean change?
Yeah, but no, you're not going to change when you change something completely. Amend when you put in little different something.
So when you change completely. When you amend, you change slightly.
Slightly.
Okay.
Yes.
You don't say something.
You're going to change stars and that. But you're not changing the whole thing.
Me tell you something. I'm so glad you're not one of the debaters in a car. Monster would have been in trouble.
No. You already just said that they put down your spirit.
No, me not down your spirit, man. But you tell me amend and change mean two different things. Anyway, go ahead. So,
right.
The point I'm making is this.
Yes, go ahead.
If the law is changed, okay? Destiny has been proposed under the existing law.
Under the existing law, yeah.
So, if you change the law, next week, a year from now, 6 years from now, my question still is, well, how does that impact destiny?
It impact this. Destiny impact you. Because the whole point about it is that whatsoever now that them are going to change. Remember, he no sign up yet, you know. He no sign up yet. You send down, but he no sign up yet. And if his next move after men to strengthen the law, then this is a loophole. Is that whensoever he was signed, he was signed under the new amendment, not old amendment.
Okay, well, that is your view. I don't necessarily subscribe to that because if you have something in front of you under the existing law, You can't go change the law and then say, the new law is what I'm going to go by. That's not the way things work.
The existing, he no got nothing under the existing. You send something to he under the existing law.
Well, that is what is in front of him.
Yeah, but he personally not got nothing signed under the existing law.
But Carla, it doesn't matter whether you have something signed. So if I say to license your business is $1,000,
yeah,
and you submit your documentation to get your business license, and you send your check for $1,000. I have that, and next week I go in the parliament and say to license businesses now $2,000. What are you going to come back and tell you got to pay an extra $1,000?
Remember, that I want completely different.
Oh, maybe.
Why you tell me now?
By look.
Remember, you got something done by he in our side. You see what you do? If farm on committee for looking.
Caller, you're talking about changing the law. You cannot change the law on people who have already submitted something to you under the existing law, and then tell them, well, this doesn't qualify under the new law. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You make noise, but you're not listening. How you going to change the law on a man and then tell the man that what you submitted last week was under the old law, and so I can't deal with that? You have to assess people's applications based on the law as it is at the time when you have the application in front of you.
Okay, but look, he got the application down there in front of him.
Yes.
But look now that he farm on committee for look out.
So what does the committee have to do with changing the law?
And at the committee now, I'm going to tell he what to do.
Yeah, but caller, that is different. You see, you're jumping all over the place.
No,
I'm trying to tell you, the point that I'm trying to address is the point that you're making about changing the law in Parliament. If you change the law in Parliament, the law must be changed to look forward, not backward.
Remember, let me tell you, you're not get a project. You're not get a project.
Well, you say I am not going to get the project. The project is not for me, you know. The project is for the people of the country. You understand? I have a job. I am not looking for a job. I don't have any business that can be expanded. I am not coming out of college trying to get a future in my country. I am an old man as it is now. So don't say it is for me. It is for the people of the country, and it's an opportunity that we are trying to create on the island of Nevis to give our people something. If that project were to go away, you know what's going to happen? You're going to still call in on the radio station every week and talk. I may do the same. But how does that help a young person get their feet off the ground, get their business started, get their business expanded, get an opportunity in Nevis?
That are the conversations with you and the Prime Minister.
Well, I'm just answering you because you're saying the project now go get off the ground and me now go get the project. So I wonder, well, what is it you are talking about me getting project, because there's no project for me to get. What I am doing, I'm seeking to do for the people of my country who have put me in a position and told me, go out and create opportunities for us. You and others have the privilege of having an opinion without any consequence whatsoever. If tomorrow you change your mind, you just change your mind.
Premier,
nothing turns on it.
Me not part of signing that document. Me not part of signing that document.
You're not. That's what exactly my point. So you're not a part of signing. You're only a part of talking.
Okay, well, here's what the advisor say. The advisor say that what kind of money you to make one agreement with one company, knowing that I'm not just you and the company, you got one other party. And if the other party have to agree, so you say there is no way you should have signed that deadline.
But caller, I have said repeatedly that I have not signed anything, and that's what again my problem. You listen to every radio show, but you're not here. I have not signed anything. I have indicated to the public that we as a cabinet have decided that we are comfortable with the last version of the agreement that we negotiated, and we have sent it now to the Prime Minister for his cabinet to look at it. It is only after they are done then we have the signing.
The Destiny man said that I only got the agreement that December, the 30 something of December, made the deadline for sign off the document.
No, you're talking to who you're talking to right now? The Destiny man, or you're talking to the Premier Nevis?
No, well, what me try, he couldn't say that, and the two you know say that.
Oh, he couldn't say that. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to tell you. But let me tell you something. I'm so happy the mouthshot debate does not bring you. Because, Lord God, you get disqualified earlier clock, you're jumping all over the place, you're not holding up point. You just all over the place tonight.
Yeah, that gonna discourage me. Listen, let me done pan the scholarship. You say NRP call you what? Some kind of mercy.
Welfare baby. Like welfare baby, that's what they call it.
Okay, welfare baby.
Yes.
Who you may get the scholarship from?
Who I got the scholarship from?
Yeah.
My first scholarship was from the government.
From who government?
NRP was in government at the time. Dr. Simeon Daniel.
So I want NRP scholarship. NRP government scholarship you get?
I got a scholarship from the government, yes. NRP was the government of the day.
NRP led. Okay. Only that me want to clear because you never tell her you never tell her with that. And let me done for one good note now. Let me done for one good note. Till upon the news me hear your deputy with one company of giving something to the farmers on them. You hear that part there?
No, I didn't hear it. But what is it? What's the good news that you're talking about?
The good news is that the farmers them Nevis get some kind of benefits from some kind of company.
But Carla, that's a regular thing in Nevis. That's what this government does.
Also, that's a regular thing.
Regular thing that people benefit. That's why we're here.
So, no.
No, what?
You're not getting the pint.
What pint me not get? Me not understand what you're saying. No. I am telling you that it's a regular thing that the people of Nevis benefit. You're saying that as if it's news. It's not big news. That's regular news.
But this is big news. This is big news. Cause me hear Eric Evelyn. Me hear Eric.
All right, caller.
Let me say it. No, me shouldn't say Eric Evelyn. MP Evelyn.
Caller, we're out of time, and somebody else is trying to get in. So we'll give this other caller an opportunity.
Okay, no problem.
All right, let's see if that other caller can get in. Oh, we're actually out of time. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, let's take this call quickly. Let's just say good night to this caller. Caller, good evening. You're on the air. Hello? Caller?
Good evening to me. How are you doing?
You are our final call. Make it quick.
You have to understand when you have people like those calling on your show and so many parts are pointless, it brings down the standard of your show.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Okay? All right. That's our show. The phones are lighting up. This is one of those nights where people want to get in even after the band has struck up. This is the show. Thanks all who called in, who were part of the show. And whilst caller, the last call, I understand that you're suggesting that some callers bring down the value of the show. My answer to you is this. They call. They take the opportunity to pick up their phone and share their views. More of us need to call and share our views. So when we feel strongly, pick up the phone, call in, share our views, be a part of the conversation. We can't not participate and then say that others who are taking the chance to participate are bringing down the value. So that is why I always encourage our people to call in and be a part of the program. That's our show for tonight. The band has struck up. It means we have to go. Again, the debates start tomorrow, Thursday. And please, I'm asking the general public to come out on Friday at 1 o'clock at the Anglican Church in Charleston and let us pay our respects to a Nevision stalwart, Miss Lorna Hunkins. Good night. God bless you. If you're out, get home safely. If you're home already, I wish you a pleasant night's rest. Thank you and good night.
And opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis